What's up, Minecrafters? KC here, and today I'm starting a new video series. One of the things that I've been wanting to do for a while is to start a series and to begin learning the process of building mods for Minecraft Pocket Edition. You can see there on the screen near the bottom, I'm on version 0.8.1 of Minecraft Pocket Edition. And I'm also using a program called Block Launcher Pro. If you just go search for that on the internet, I'm sure you'll find plenty of information about it. But one of the things that program does is allow you to import mod scripts into the Minecraft game and use those. So through this series, I hope to accomplish a few different things. First thing is just have fun. Try to learn something new, learn how to incorporate that into my Minecraft worlds. But the other thing is, I will admit that I am a bit of a newbie when it comes to building these mod scripts. So hopefully through this process, it will also sort of document that learning process. And if you can get something out of that, maybe you can learn something that's great, but that's really not what I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to teach modding. But hopefully, again, as I progress, I will begin to get into some things that you may or may not find useful or helpful. But again, number one goal is just to have fun. So I'm going to get started, and I'll start by showing you a world that I have created to use for this series. And this is basically a very super flat world. There's no structure to this world other than the fact that the entire floor is covered by grass. And when I say super flat, what I mean by that is basically the world is 1 block tall. If I was to fall through that hole, I would most certainly die. But again, there's no trees, there's no stone, there's no wood, there's really nothing in this world to work with. So one of the first mods that I want to build is something that will allow me to gather some material so that I can start creating in this environment that I've set up here. So I'm going to now switch over to my editing tool where I'll begin writing my script. And then again, first thing I'm going to do is write some commands that will allow me to obtain some inventory. Okay, so I'm in my editor, and the first thing that I'm going to do here is, in the process of building this script, is to handle the ability to take commands that are entered through the chat window and process those. So the way I would do that would be to start by creating a new function. And this language is called JavaScript. I'm not real familiar with JavaScript, but it's something that I, again, hope to learn through this process. But the first function that I want to write here is a function called proccmd. And what that does is it takes or accepts the text that was entered into the chat window and allows you to take actions upon that text. And so what this is saying is the value of the text that you type in is going to go into that parameter named cmd. And then again, you can examine that parameter and then decide how you want to handle that, if you want or need to handle that at all. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to break that parameter up into usable information. So if you can imagine a word or a phrase that was typed into the chat window, you would need to break that phrase into words or other pieces of information that you want to process. And so to do that, because I don't know everything that I might want to do with that, I'm going to design or create a function to split that information that was entered in and return what's called an array of strings. So I'm going to call this function process args, and basically it's just going to take a command or the text that's passed to it as a parameter. And just starting out very simply, what I want to do is I want to return the text that was passed in command. I think I'll trim that, which means remove the leading and trailing spaces. And then I'm going to convert that to lowercase, and then finally I am going to split that on the space character. So that single line of code is trimming the string, it is converting it to lowercase, and then it's splitting it on spaces. So back in my proc_cmd, what I'm going to first do is to create a var, or a variable called args, and I'm going to set that to the return value from process args. Again, just passing in cmd. So what I expect args to represent now, again, is a string array or array of words that were separated by spaces that was sent in from the chat window. And then I want to determine what was typed in and see if that's a command that I'm interested in. And I'm going to do that through a switch statement. And I'm going to first evaluate the first word that was passed into that, which would be in the first element of the array. So I refer to that as args sub 0. And because what I'm trying to do here again is define a way that I can create items in my inventory, in my flat world. I need to think of a way to specify what I want to create and how many of that item that I want to add in to my inventory. So I need something like a give me type of command. So I think I'm going to call that gimme. So if the phrase or command that's typed into the chat window is gimme, then I want to do something. Also, within my switch statement, I'm going to create the default case here at the bottom. And basically what that will do is if the word or phrase doesn't match anything that I have tested for here, it will hit this default case where I basically want to just break out as well. So what that break does is, for example, if the first word, if the phrase is gimme, then I will do my commands and then I'll break out of the switch statement. So again, what I want to do is I want to add items to my inventory. And so the way I would do that through the modPE functions that are usable or built into Block Launcher is I would use the player object to indicate that I want to add item inventory. And add item inventory takes 3 parameters. The first parameter is the block ID that you want to create. Each block in Minecraft and each item in Minecraft has a unique ID associated with it that describes the type of block or item that you're dealing with. And so what I'm going to have my command represent would be gimme and then a quantity of a certain type of item. So in my args, arg sub 0 would be gimme, arg sub 1 would be the quantity, and arg sub 2 would be the block ID that I want created. So in player.add item inventory, those parameters are actually kind of reversed. The first parameter is the block ID that you want to create. So for me that would be arg sub 2, and then the amount is the second parameter to add item inventory. But because of, again, the way that I am designing my command text, that would be arg sub 1. And then finally there's a value called damage value that you can pass in. And in this case I just want to pass in a damage value of 0, and that's something that I want to learn more about and understand better. But in this case, again, I'm just going to pass in a 0 to that. So basically what this is doing again is I'm going to type in the command gimme, and I'm going to ask for a certain quantity of a certain block ID. And when I do that, it's going to get into this case for gimme, and then it's going to call player.add item inventory with the block ID and the quantity of that block ID to create. So just looking at this, I don't see any problems with it. So the next step will be to save that and then to go load that mod script into Block Launcher and then test it in my world. Okay, so I'm back in Block Launcher, which has started Minecraft, but you'll notice at the top of the screen there is the wrench icon, and if I click on that I get a menu, and what I want to do is I want to manage my mod PE scripts, and I want to import the script that I just created and saved, and I saved that in my download scripts folder on my tablet. And the first thing that I see is an error here. So this is a syntax error, which means that there's a problem with my script. It won't load properly. And so I will need to go back into my editor and try to identify what that issue is, correct it, and then I will be able to come back into Block Launcher and try to load that script again. So I'm going to switch back over to my editor. So back in my editor, just looking at it, I can see the mistake that I made. It's a syntax type error with the switch statement. I do not need the word case before default there. And so that was preventing the script from loading properly. So I'm going to remove case from that default, and then I'm going to save. And then I'm going to try to reload that script back in Block Launcher. Okay, I'm back in Block Launcher, and I'm going to try to import that script again, and hopefully I have resolved all of my syntax type errors. So I did not get an error this time, and you can see that main.js is loaded now. Doesn't mean that this script is going to work properly. All it means is that it passed the syntax type checking and that it was formatted properly to be imported. So the next step then will be for me to actually load my world and test to see if my mod works. So if everything is working properly, I should be able to go into my chat window and type in /gimme and then a quantity of a certain type of block ID. So I'm going to type in a quantity of 10, and I just happen to know that block ID 2 is grass block. So I am going to ask for 10 of those block ID 2s. So I hit enter here, and if everything works properly, then I should have 10 of those in my inventory, and you can see at the bottom that works. I now have these blocks in my inventory, and I can replace that block there. So my gimme command seems to be working properly, and I should be able to ask for any of the defined block IDs or item IDs. So for example, I can say give me one of item ID 276, and I know what 276 is, and we'll take a look at that in a second. And I could also say give me one 277. So those are tools. So if I go back now, I now have a sword and a shovel in my inventory. 276 is the item ID for the sword, and 277 is the item ID for the shovel. So now I have the ability to, in my world that has no trees and no stone and no other types of materials, to put those into my inventory and begin building my world. So I'm going to, I think, stop here and call that portion of my modding script successful. There's a few other things that I want to do there. I didn't do any type of checking, for example. The second and third parameter there really need to be numbers. If you were to say give me A of block ID, for example, that wouldn't be valid. So there's ways that you can check for that. But in my case, I'm the only one using this mod, and I know that I need to type numbers in there. But just in case I make a mistake, I may want to check that. So those are types of things that you really have to think through when you are developing software, is those types of error checking, but those conditions that can cause a problem with the software that you're creating. So again, I think I'm going to end here. I might go clean that script up a little bit, and we'll pick up from here in the next episode. So I've enjoyed this. I hope you have as well. And I look forward to episode 2.